He runs the show.
We'll bring the committee meetings back to order. The next committee up is Community and Economic Development, chaired by Councilmember Pinky Vargas.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have two items in front of us today, and I am joined on committee by April Barker and Roxanne Murphy. Our first is a presentation by Sustainable Connections, who's going to provide a report of the 2016 accomplishments and 2017 activities. And I'm going to turn it over to the Executive Director of Sustainable Connections, Derek Long, to give us that presentation. Thank you, Derek.
Good afternoon. Derek Long, Sustainable Connections. I sure appreciate, I work with a lot of you individually here and there, but it's a nice opportunity to come in once a year and give you maybe a broader update on certain things. So thanks, Tara and Mayor Linville, for this opportunity, and Council. I'm primarily here to talk about updates for Eat Local First and Think Local First. We have a contract with Tara's department to provide economic development services under those headings, but I can't help but start the presentation with some grounding in the city's legacy commitments, which are brilliant, and we just cherry-picked the ones that I think fit this contract especially nicely. Things like interdependence of environmental, economic, and social interests. One of my favorites, which you might not expect from the city of Bellingham because you don't have a ton of farmland inside the city limits, is that you decided to call out preserving farmland in the agricultural economy, which provides us an opportunity to work on food and farming issues. Particularly in these politically divided times, those meaningful connections between urban residents and rural residents are extra important, like supporting each other economically by buying good food and energy from the rural part of the economy. Well, I have good news about the Bellingham Energy Prize that I want to spend just like 60 seconds on, but before I go to that, I was talking to Terry about good news, and later this afternoon you're going to talk about the recent resident survey. And probably just like you, as you read through it, you were immediately sort of drawn to the problems and what we need to do better on. Oh, is this on a timer? And what we need to do better on. But I found myself wanting to go back to that graph that showed that 94% of survey respondents said that quality of life in Bellingham is excellent or good. And so I want to encourage you later this afternoon to really reflect on you guys we're doing a great job. This is a great city, and spend a little time on that before you start to beat yourself up on all the opportunities we have to improve. So the Bellingham Energy Prize, such a collaborative effort with the city and Puget Sound Energy and Cascade Natural Gas, Bellingham Public Schools, and so many other great partners. The community really responded in a big way. This isn't part of the contract, so Tara's like, get to the contract part. But I did want to show that Bellingham is, at the latest quantitative rankings, ranked 4th in the nation, and so we're deep green and we're at the very top. Mayor Linville's challenge to the mayors of Bellevue and Anacortes looks pretty secure right now because we're beating them pretty well. But just a reminder that 25% of the total score is quantitative, just on energy saved. 75% is qualitative, based on how inclusive our campaign was, how innovative it was, and how likely it is to continue the innovation after the competition is over. And Mark Gardner put, with all the partner support, a 30-page report together to turn in, and it's just an impressive read. So later this spring or summer, when Georgetown flies in their crack qualitative team to evaluate our city, I look forward to working with all of you to make an impression, win the national prize, bring $5 million to our community. Okay, that's a deal. Food and farming program. This is a long-running program, and it's just rolling. Nice balance of new things and things that are tried and true. What's the program do? We connect producers to wholesale buyers. We do a lot of marketing and promotion of local food. We grow the next generation of farmers through the Food to Bank On mentorship and technical assistance program. And we play well with others in coordinating with partners. Every year we do a survey, and we try to figure out how we're doing and what we can do better. This year I had about 90 respondents. It's a nice balance of all the different types of businesses and organizations we work with. And I wanted to highlight one of the new initiatives is, with a little bit of help from the city's contract, a grant from USDA and WSDA, we've for the first time been able to go out and do one-on-one consultations with restaurants, chefs, produce managers, farmers, fishermen, and talk about best practices for promotion and sales, make market connections for local sourcing benefit, and it's been tremendously successful. So the survey shows 90% of producers find the Eat Local First program helpful in growing their sales, and 75% are seeing their business sales grow every year. And then on the wholesale buyer side, 84% of the wholesale buyers say that participating in Eat Local First motivates them to buy more locally, and 73% say sales are growing each year. So some of the successful things that we do every year, the one-on-one consultations are new, but some of the successful publications and promotions that we do every year that really work are like the Food and Farm Finder. We print and distribute 30,000 copies every year of the Food and Farm Finder. Mayor Kelly will help kick that off Saturday at the farmers market opening. And 30,000 copies get picked up every year. And 15,000 copies of the Culinary Agritourism Map get distributed throughout the region to bring tourists to the area for agriculture and food support.
Derek, could you repeat those numbers again? I'm sorry, I'm just writing them down for our report out tonight. How many of those?
30,000 Food and Farm Finders, 15,000 Culinary Agritourism Maps. That's a mouthful. Yeah. We do 60,000 copies of the, so every September is Eat Local Month. I think we had 26 restaurants and grocery retailers featuring something special during that month, 15 special events around local food. We do the farm tour that month as well. Speaking of the farm tour, 3,500 farm visits at the farm tour each year. We think there are about 1,200 attendees, and they visit about 3 farms each. And so those are the things that we do. Oh, and I forgot the trade meeting is held every February. Over 180 wholesale buyers, value-added food producers, farmers, and fishermen show up, and 90% of attendees say that they do deals at the event, and those business relationships continue out of the trade meeting. So, something new. So, we're a resource to local farm businesses and food businesses and so on. And so we have a sense of what people need from us. They're calling us or emailing us. I'm looking for financing. I'm looking for a particular kind of technical assistance. I'm looking for new markets or who distributes food, this kind of food, if it's a dairy particular distributor, and all these questions, right? And so we've been looking for a source of funding to help us build an online resource so a lot of these entrepreneurs and business people can find their own resources fast on the weekends at midnight if they're working and our office is closed. The best practice we found is in Vermont, the Food Atlas. So on Vermont's Food Atlas, which we'll have a version of for Whatcom and Skagit County by the end of the year, you can go on and find all these resources on your own. It'll be comprehensive, and I think it's going to be fantastic. So look forward to that. This is just some awesome photos of farmers to get you in the mood for spring and the farmers market opening on Saturday and local food. And then think local first. This is all about generating demand to support local business, right? And our challenge, of course, is to keep the brand and the marketing fresh and compelling so it gets people's attention and it changes purchasing habits. It keeps people spending locally so that those dollars recirculate in the community and grow our economy, grow the tax base, and so on. This is just a fresh assortment of what the materials looked like last year. And, companies like Valpak, for example, came to us and said, we want to make a strategic shift to highlight local businesses more. Can you help us do that? And so there's a nice plug-in for that. And let's get to some new looks for our advertising. This is on WTA buses in the Pickford Film Center. And one of our biggest and most important and most effective tools for promoting Think Local First over the years has been the Where the Locals Go coupon books, and we've sold thousands and thousands of copies over 12 years, I guess. But the universe is going mobile, and print isn't getting the job done the way it used to. And so we want to be on people's phones, and we've been looking for the right resource to do that. And building your own is expensive and complicated. And so our friends at the Chinook Book, we've known for 15 years. They did a print coupon book. They're in markets like Portland, Seattle, Sacramento, San Francisco Bay Area, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Denver. And several years ago, they started to go mobile, and they just did a great job with it. And so finally, they've been focusing on large metro areas. And finally, we just stayed in touch, and they said, well, because it's a largely mobile platform now, we can figure out a partnership that makes sense between our two organizations and bring it to this market. So they already have 34,000 app users in the Puget Sound area. I don't know what their total is with all those other markets, but it's quite large. The research shows people look on their phones for offers and coupons nowadays, predominantly. And so we're already starting the business outreach. There are new Bellingham-based businesses going up on the Chinook Book every week, starting like 2 weeks ago when we started promotion. Our goal is to get 70, 80 new retailers on the platform before July, and then we always promote Independence Month during the month of July, around Independence Day. That'll be the time where we do the big promotion for app users to begin. We expect to have about 3,000 users by the end of the year and over 100 businesses, and we'll grow from there from 2017 and on. The other nice thing about this is, there are several nice things, but the Chinook Book people are experts in crafting effective promotions, right? Because they work with so many thousands of businesses in so many markets. So our retailers will learn how to get better offers out in the market. They'll also get metrics on how the users are using the offers. It's something we can't offer with a print coupon book the way it's been in the past. And for those of you, many of you in the room now that'll probably get this app, when you travel to any of those other markets, you'll see Chinook Book offers on your phone. And when those people are tourists and they visit Bellingham, they'll see Bellingham offers on the app. It'll be slick and easy. And then my final slide is something we're super proud of, is we launched a new website late last year. Visits to the website are up by several thousand a month, and so that's not only good for us, but it's good for all our partners who are promoting on the website, and that includes the City of Bellingham. And right on time, that's the end of my presentation. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer
Committee
them.
members?
Thank you.
Thanks, Roxanne.
On behalf of myself, I mean, I really appreciate the partnership that we have with the city. You guys are able to do lots of really fun things that we might not be able to do. So, and it's really important, especially nowadays, that we are in touch with our agricultural community and people understand where their food comes from. So buying local first is really important, and obviously supporting our agricultural community. So I want to thank you for the partnership that we have, and especially personally, I'm a little attached to the Bellingham Energy Prize as well. But so thank you very much for the work that you've been doing, and I believe the mayor has some comments.
Thank you, Pinky.
Well, Sustainable Connections is an organization I've worked with since I was in the state legislature, so it's been a really long time. What I want to thank you for, Derek, is your organization's ability to be able to adapt to changing budget times, changing accountability times, like with your mobile apps and things like that. I think the reason that Sustainable Connections is so successful is you don't just believe that the way we used to do it is the way we always have to do it, and you've done a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any, Michael?
Yes, thanks, Mickey. So I want to echo, I think, what you said, is that it's important to know your own strengths and what your strengths aren't, and Sustainable Connections has strengths that aren't natural, I think, for city government. We're a little bit more staid. We have a lane, and we should probably try to stay pretty close to it, but there's certain things that need to be done for public benefit, and you're a great partner. Your organization's a great partner for that. I also want to say I'm glad to see you've now got a good partner for the mobile app. I know when I was on the Sustainable Connections board several years ago, we were understanding the need to transition. That was for, I think, for a local kind of a loyalty program for local businesses, and the paper version, wasn't right, but the mobile version wasn't right at the time too. We looked and rejected it. I'm glad to see you finally got a partner.
Thank you.
Roxanne?
In addition to what they're saying, I just wanted to thank you for the work on the Georgetown Energy Prize, because this helps with our bragging rights for those of us that have friends on the Anacortes or other city councils.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Any other comments? No? Derek, thank you very much for
Thanks,
your
you
time
guys.
and for your work with the city.
Thank you.
Okay, our second item today is a resolution authorizing amendment of the 2016 HUD Annual Action Plan, allocating federal funds from HUD for low and moderate income residents of Bellingham. In our 2016 action plan, which this is something the city adopts every year to implement and fund activities that carry out the priorities and strategies of the city's consolidated plan, and guides the allocation of the community development block grants, and often this is referred to with the acronym CDBG. So if that's what you're hearing, that's what we're talking about, Community Development Block Grant. And our Home Investment Partnership Program, called HOME, received by the city for use in meeting the needs of low and moderate income residents of Bellingham. The amendment reflects increased federal resources, decreased levy resources, and changed activities. And we have a presentation from Samia Lutz, our Housing and Services Program Manager. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Samia.
Let's see. Okay. Hi, Samia Lutz with Tara's team at the city. Yes, we have an amendment here. You guys approved this, a resolution forwarding the 2016 action plan to HUD last May. That action plan runs from July 1 through June 30th of this year. So you'll see another action plan come before you for 2017 in another month and a half in May of this year. But what's before you now is an amendment to the current action plan that we're in the midst of right now for the reasons that you just mentioned, Councilmember Vargas. So there's a couple of things, and also just to let you know, HUD does require a public process when we amend the action plan. There was a notice published in the Herald in February. The CDAB, the Community Development Advisory Board, had a public hearing and discussed this amendment at their meeting earlier this month in March, and they did recommend forwarding on to you. So what you see in here reflects some additional funding coming in from both the CDBG and home programs, primarily due to additional program income, and that's explained in the memo. Has to do with the home buyer program kind of shifting over from being run by the city to being run by the Housing Finance Commission. And then in addition to that, we're modifying some uses of funding to correspond to that increase. And those have to do with public facilities, the housing rehab program, housing services, the home buyer program, and rental development. So I can walk you through those if you want to. I know you're on a tight schedule today, so maybe I'll just open it up to questions.
Councilmember Murphy.
I just move that we pass the resolution.
Second. Oh, wait a minute, I'm not even on.
Yeah, I know, I'm looking at April.
Yeah, like, what's going on?
I'll need a second, right?
Sorry about that.
Can you just give a brief of the reasons why we're shifting some monies into different, I think, is that what I remember we were talking about, and the
Sure.
reasoning for that, and then I think that might help some people at home understand what we're doing here.
Sure. So the memo in the packet is quite detailed for those who are listening who might want to have a look at that, and it's basically pages 24 through 26. And so that talks about those increases in the public funds from home and CDBG allow us also to decrease the levy funds slightly and basically hold those funds for other projects that we'll need them for, because the levy funds can be much more flexible. And so you're seeing some additional funding put into the public facilities program, additional funding put into the rental housing program, and the only kind of new activity shown here is under that rental development program. We're proposing to allow some early pre-development funds to kind of encourage agencies that are thinking about projects to go ahead and get moving with them to get more rental development into the pipeline. So that's pretty modest funding, but sometimes that early funding is really crucial for agencies to move forward with projects. And then the home buyer, it's continuing what we're already doing, but again, putting more of that federal funding into that program.
Any additional questions? Councilmember Lillquist.
Thank you, Vicki.
President.
So I have a question. This is thanks for the amendment, and the memo is thorough. I had questions and it answers them. I'm asking for something kind of outside that. Maybe you can help me. I'm understanding that the Trump administration has released a budget that may or may not actually zero out the CDBG and home funds. Is that actually true? Do you know? Have you been looking?
It's our understanding. I will say that this next 2017 action plan is from an already approved budget prior to that time, but I've only heard the same thing that you have.
Okay. Thanks.
Any additional questions? No. I actually have been following the budget in regards to what they're going to do with HUD funding, and it is kind of scary. So it's good to know that we can depend on what we have for 2017, and we'll face what we have to in the future. We have a motion in front of us, and this is for approval of resolution authorizing the amendment of the 2016 HUD Annual Action Plan allocating federal funds from HUD. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0, and I will recommend that this evening. Thank you very much for your time, Samia, and that is the end of committee.
Thank you very much. We're